Rad opened the app, selected the car he had arrived in, and searched for the option Return to Base without driver. The police officers entered the living room, and Len opened the window. "Will you be working for much longer?" he asked the people searching the apartment. "About an hour, for sure." "Then we won't be going on a break together today. That's a shame." "Another time," said the police officer who was checking the tabletop and pouring a special liquid on it. They got into the car parked under the window. Rad took his place in the back of the car. Len sat behind the wheel, and Lot next to him in the front seat. As they flew over Nova Huta in Krakow on planet Earth, Len showed them the block of flats where he lived. From this height, it looked small, but they were flying low enough to get a good view of it. "It's the light green one. Can you see it?" "I see it," said Rad. "You have to come over," continued Len. "I moved just 2 blocks away, but this apartment is much better. It's bigger and brighter." "She lives there," he pointed to the building next door. "Our friend from the police, Watt." "Oh, we know her," smiled Lot, sketching 2 plump watermelons on his chest and turning to Rad. "So when are we going to Lena's? Weekend?" "The weekend is out. I have to take care of something with Rosa. But Friday after work is fine with me." "Then it's settled. Friday after work," said Lot. "I won't be offended if you invite Watt." Len waved his hand at him. "You can talk to her at work." "She's so cold at work, I swear. Maybe at a housewarming party she'd be just a little less cold." "I doubt it," said Len. "Not for you." They stopped at a traffic light at an intersection. Len tapped his fingers on the steering wheel. Rad, sitting in the back, rested his head against the window. They watched as both air and ground transportation moved around. Cars sped along a perpendicular air route. The Skyway had no lanes. It was marked only here and there with transparent white triangles to indicate which areas could be traveled in. There were not many of them. There were also few holographic signs. They only appeared in the busiest and most dangerous places, and were positioned so that they could not be seen from the ground. In fact, the navigation system was located in the car, and it was a hologram from the car reading the location that outlined the route, the road, and the signs for them. This was so that the sky would be clear. An aerial tram was approaching from the opposite direction. The people inside were chatting, clicking on something on a disc, or, like them, watching the vehicles and the sky. Below them, cars glided along the ground between the blocks of flats. When the light turned green, they set off. "I've received word," Len began, "that most of the neighbors, 23 people, have agreed to come to the police station. 15 have opted for online interviews. We're lucky the murder took place in a tenement building and not a high-rise," Lot said happily. "A low-rise building, few neighbors, a quick closure of the case." Rad and Len smiled at him. "True," Rad confirmed. "Since there are no important leads, we can't refuse them online interviews," Len noted. "We'll accept what we have, and if something comes up, then we'll switch to normal interviews." "Have they already chosen the dates?" asked Lot. "Yes, several have already signed up," said Rad, looking through the messages on his disk. "Oh, there's a request for an interview in half an hour. Do we accept?" he asked his friends. "We accept," said Len. "All right, lunch can wait," agreed Lot. They leaned back in comfortable black levitating armchairs and looked through a one-way mirror at a woman in her 60s. Len, Rad, Lot, and Watt. "So, who's going?" asked Len, sitting down in an armchair to signal that he wasn't. "I had an argument with my neighbor a week ago, who looks exactly like that woman, and I think I'll be unnecessarily sarcastic," Lot said, stopping, leaning against the chair and jumping onto it. "And she probably doesn't know anything and is just here to pee. It would be a shame if she left feeling confused because of me." He leaned back comfortably and now looked as if he never intended to get up. "I can go," said Rad, who was the only candidate, and went inside. He sat down opposite the woman. Would you like something to drink? Coffee? Tea? Water? Just a warning, the tea and coffee are lukewarm, for safety reasons. No, not really. Or maybe water. Rad pressed on the table and selected the image of water from the hologram that appeared. A glass of water flew in through a small window in the wall and settled on the table next to the woman's hand. It seemed as if the glass had flown in on its own, but after a moment, a flat, small black device emerged from underneath. It unscrewed itself from the bottom of the cup like a screw and flew away through the same hole. As you probably know, a murder has taken place. Your neighbor, Tomasz Medelko, has been murdered. We are looking for something that could help us in our investigation. But what does this have to do with me? I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. The apartments are so soundproof that you could scream for help and no one would hear you. I know, because when my mother had surgery and fell and couldn't get up, no one came. She called and screamed, but it was all in vain. She had to pull herself together and crawl from the kitchen to the bed in her bedroom, she added. Well, yes, but maybe you saw something suspicious. For example, did you see anything through the window or outside when you went out? Maybe you heard something or saw something that caught your attention. It made you wonder. It worried you. Your neighbor had an argument with someone or got drunk and caused a disturbance, or his relationship turned out to be an affair and the partner of the girl he was seeing caught them. Come on, nothing like that. He was so normal, ordinary, an average neighbor like many others. He didn't get drunk. I don't think he drank. I never saw him drunk. He didn't argue with anyone either. I just saw him sometimes going for a walk or jogging. And I didn't really see him with his girlfriend. She just ran away from me a few times and that was it. I don't even know if I would recognize her. Rad asked a few more questions, but the answers revealed nothing. When he left the interrogation room, he stretched his arms and neck. I love interrogations like this, Lot laughed. Boring as fuck. I bet you didn't argue with any of your neighbors, you just wanted to get out of it. You have no evidence, it's just speculation. I have data from his girlfriend Kasha to back me up, said Len. You took a face from the neighborhood surveillance and put it in the database, Rad confirmed. That's not enough for this interrogation. Partly from the neighborhood surveillance, Len replied. Why? Somehow, she always positioned herself so that her face couldn't be seen. Strange, Rad commented. So you resorted to street surveillance? Len nodded. I matched the girl from the neighborhood surveillance to the girl from the street. Her face was clearly visible a few blocks away. And there she is. Rad searched for her in the system. She's already scheduled an interview for tomorrow at 10 a.m. through our office, he read. Cool, replied Lot. What, are you coming with us to the cafeteria? Rad asked. Unfortunately, I have to go to another interview, she replied. I had some free time, so I came to see you, but now I have to go to my group. Her name suited her. She was energetic, as if she had an extra stream of energy with a lot of watts in her body. She wasn't as dry as Lot thought. She had black, curly hair down to her shoulders. The curls didn't form circles, but looked like lightning bolts. She had a nice body and figure, a shapely nose, a curvy body, and indeed, large breasts. Her eyes were gray, her gaze firm. She felt great in male company, and that's where she spent most of her time, although she didn't shy away from female company. Are you coming to Len's house party? Lot interjected. Friday after work. Len didn't say anything about having a house party, she said, and Rad sensed hidden regret in her voice. Because we just made plans with the guys on the way to the office, Len explained. Watt's mood seemed to improve. I'll see. As she was leaving, she looked at Len flirtatiously. It was clear that she liked him a lot, and not just in a friendly way. Still, apart from her gaze, she didn't show it in any other way. At work, she didn't behave towards him in a way that she would consider unprofessional. Rad looked at his friends sitting in their chairs. If Rad had to describe his friends, he would describe Len as a nice guy, even funny at times, but hiding behind a dark facade, often with a stern poker face that betrayed no emotion. He was very reserved on a daily basis, but his job gave him a chance to unleash his explosive temper. He kept this part of his personality in check, and did not let it spill over into his personal life. Lot, on the other hand, was a troublemaker, a class elite, a guy who loved parties and girls, both in large quantities. Very large quantities. And himself? He would describe himself as an ordinary guy, although one who sometimes sees the world too much in black and white. Good. Bad. Working in the police, there's no point in focusing on the gray areas. It could drive you crazy. When they sat down in the cafeteria, they chose their meals from the holographic menu, and in a moment their plates flew in on small black devices, which flew away as soon as they placed the food in front of them. Donuts were also flying overhead, which you could take without ordering if you felt like it. They were decorated with black icing and a police badge. The donuts were carried by older drone models, slim and minimalist, but prone to breaking down. "So, what do you think? Will it be easy?" asked Lot, putting a bite of chicken in his mouth. "I don't know," Rad pondered. "Oh, there's a new notification." Rad pressed "Open" on the panel. They found the second hand. "In a pond, a few neighborhoods away," Len said, surprised. "The report says that the first group of police officers determined that one hand was inside the bathroom with a glass of acid, and the other was holding the doorknob," Rad read. "That makes sense," Lot said. "She held the door handle so he couldn't escape. If she hadn't managed to pour acid on him, he would have dodged it, knocked the glass out of her hand, and there would have been a greater chance that the murder would have failed." But why acid? Why the gouged-out eye? Rad wondered. There are so many ways to kill someone. A gun? A knife? More traditional methods. A ritual? A psychopath? Maybe, Len nodded, considering the options. Not far from them, a donut fell on one of the policemen's heads. "Fuck, it's always the same." Len broke down and grabbed his forehead. "They could replace those old drones." "Why? It's a regular thing," Lot smiled. "It's not boring." "I can't count how many times I've been hit in the head with a donut and had to wash off the icing," added Len. "Well, I had that happen to me once before an interrogation," commented Rad. "With my hair wet, I didn't look very professional. I was interrogating a well-known gangster, so looking like a loser wasn't going to cut it." Len and Lot laughed. "I remember," confirmed Len. When they had finished eating, they took a donut each and went to work at their desks. Their room was partially enclosed by glass walls and had several cabinets, a few plants, and 3 desks arranged in an L shape. "Kasha's ex-boyfriend studied robotics," said Rad, getting up from his desk. He turned to his colleagues. "He's a programmer. A pretty good one. That's what his resume says." "We have a motive and a perpetrator. So fast," Rad said in surprise. "A little too fast," Len replied. "I like the timing," commented Lot. "I like express cases." "She broke up with her ex about 3 months ago," added Rad. "That's a double bad omen," said Len. "A fresh case."